Hi, I'm Sean Gannon, and this is Minute Math, and today we're learning about the Fundamental Theorem of Calculus, the second part.
Minute Math, when you need help you use Minute Math.
We're given this problem right here. Capital f of x is equal to the integral of -4 to x of t minus 1 dt, and we want to find f prime of x here. Well, using the second fundamental theorem of calculus, we need to find what f prime of x is. So to find f prime of x, that's equal to d over dx of f of x. So the integral here of -4 to x of t minus 1 dt. And then from here, well, we need to find first the integral. So f prime of x here is equal to d over dx of the integral of t minus 1, which is a t squared over 2 minus a t. And we're integrating this from -4 to x. All right? So I'm going to continue this up here. We have d over dx here is multiplied by, our rules say we plug in x first. So we have x in for t, pretty easy swap. X squared minus 2 minus an x. And we subtract that when we plug in a -4. -4 squared over 2 minus a -4. If I can fit that in. So now I just want to simplify a little bit. Now left-hand side stays the same, right? X squared over 2 minus x. And whenever we have a constant here, it really doesn't matter what it's going to come out to be, but it simplifies to be a -12. And you'll see why in a second. We now need to take the derivative of this. So when we take the derivative of that, remember this is equal to my f prime of x here, is equal to taking the derivative, power rule, 2 comes down, multiplies by 2. We just have an x. Derivative of x is a 1, and the derivative of the constant, 0. And so there we have it. We kind of looped all the way back around, but my final answer here for f prime of x is equal to x minus 1. We're given this problem right here. F of x is equal to the integral from -3 to x of x squared plus 2x plus 3 dt, and we want to find f prime of x. So let's use our second fundamental theorem of calculus here and find f prime of x. And that's equal to d over dx, the derivative of the integral of f of x, or f of x, which is the integral, -3x of a t squared plus 2t plus 3 dt. So the first step here is we need to find what the integral of what's inside of our integrand here. So we have f prime of x again is equal to d over dx, not dy. And what's the integral of t squared plus 2t plus 3? Well, we're going to have t to the third power over 3 plus 2t is a t squared and plus a 3t. And we're integrating that from -3 to x. Okay? So then from here, I'm going to put it up here so it's a little easier to see. Okay. Well, what does that equal to? Well, we still have d over dx. All right. And what we need to do is plug in x first and for t. So it kind of swaps it out. X to the third over 3 plus x squared plus 3x. Then we subtract when we plug -3 in for x and in for t, and that comes out to be a -9 when you do that. Now, it doesn't really matter. You'll see in a moment how that kind of cancels out. Well, we want to take the derivative of this right here, what's on the inside. Now, this minus a negative is plus a positive. So taking the derivative, we have f prime of x is equal to, when we take the derivative, well, x to the third over 3 is just, well, an x squared. X squared becomes a 2x, 3x becomes a 3, and the derivative of the constant 9 is just 0, and we don't need to write it. And that's why that part really didn't matter. And so we actually have our answer. Our f prime of x is equal to an x squared plus 2x plus 3. We're given this problem right here. F of x is equal to the integral from -1 to x squared of -2x or 2t plus 2 dt. And we need to find f prime of x. So let's use our formula here. F prime of x is equal to d over, if I can write it, d over dx of the integral of what we have here of f of x. -1 to x squared, -2t plus 2 dt. And so, continuing on, f prime of x is equal to d over dx here What's the integral of negative 2t plus 2? Well, negative 2t becomes a negative t squared, plus integral of 2 is a 2t. And we're integrating this from negative 1 to x squared. Okay? Let's continue this up here. Well, from here we need to follow our rules. Plug in x squared in for t. Okay? So we have d over a dx. Plugging x squared in, so negative x squared squared, don't forget the second squared, plus 2 times an x squared. Minus, when we plug in negative 1 in for x, and I simplified that for you, and it came out to be a negative 3. And it won't really matter in a minute. Alright, so our rules state we need to take, well actually let's go simplify this first. D over dx. We have a negative x squared to the second power, so it's x to the fourth power, so we have negative x to the fourth, plus, well, just 2x squared, plus a 3 here, that constant. And this step will actually find our answer, f prime of x. We need to take the derivative of what's inside the bracket here. 4 comes down, we have a negative 4x to the third, plus 2 comes down, gives us 2 times 2 is a 4x, and the derivative of a 3 is a 0 because it's a constant. And so we now have our f prime of x, and it's equal to a negative 4x to the third plus 4x. We're given this problem right here. F of x is equal to the integral from 4 to 3x of a negative t cubed plus 11t squared minus 39t plus 44 dt. And we have to find f prime of x. So let's go use the formula. F prime of x here is equal to d over dx of our integral from 4 to 3x of our negative t cubed, it's a negative t, make sure you can see that, plus 11t squared minus 39t plus 44 dt. A lot of writing here. Alright, so first let's go find the integral right there of, well, our function with respect to t. So d over dx. Alright, the integral of negative t to the third power is a negative t to the fourth over 4. Okay. Plus 11t to the third over 3 for the second part, minus 39t squared over 2, plus a 44t. Pretty big one. And we're integrating this from a 4 to 3x. Okay. So let me go, I guess I can write it out. I'll just write that down here and make sure I have enough room. Let's do that. So now what we want to do is we're going to plug in 3x and 4 into my function here. So f prime of x here, still, is equal to d over dx. And we're going to plug in 3x first for t. So all of our t values we're putting in 3x in. So negative 3x to the fourth over 4 plus 11 times 3x to the third over 3 minus a 39 3x, again for t squared, over 2 plus 44 3x. We subtract that by when we plug 4 into this whole thing, and I've done that for you, and it's a 34.6 repeating, but it really doesn't matter because it will cancel out at the end. So, essence of space, when we put this over here, f prime of x is equal to, now d over dx, and I'm going to simplify this out a little bit for you. Okay, so we have 3x to the fourth power. Here we're going to simplify that part. Simplifies to be a negative 81 x to the fourth over 4 plus the next part simplifies to be a 297 x to the third over 3 minus the next part becomes this 39 3x squared is a 351 x squared over 2 plus last part here, 44 times 3 is a 132, right? Make sure I'm in the spot, yeah, 132 x, and then we subtract the last part, so 34.6 repeating. I'm still within it, great. Now, some of these can be simplified already, but knowing the next step, I know I'll be taking the derivative, and the denominators get canceled out pretty easily here. So we have f prime of x, we need to take now the derivative of this function. 4 comes down, multiplies by this 4, cancels out, so we have a negative 81 x to the third power. Same thing here, 3 comes down, so we have 297 x to the second power. Okay, minus, same thing here, 351 x squared comes down, 2 cancels that down here, 351x plus, then we have just a 132, right here, 132, derivative of 132x, and the constant disappears. Didn't really need that. And so we have it here, long, but not too bad. Our final answer, f prime of x, is equal to a negative 81x cubed plus a 297x squared minus 351x plus 132. We're given this problem right here. F of x is equal to the integral from 2 to x cubed of 1 over t cubed dt, and we need to find f prime of x. So let's use our formula, f prime of x. F prime of x is equal to the d over dx, the derivative, of the integral of 2x to the third 1 over t cubed dt. Okay? Well, from here we need to first really just find the integral here. So keep my f prime of x here, prime of x, big prime, equals d over dx of, well, what's the integral of 1 over t cubed? Well, that comes out to be a negative 1 over 2x squared. And we're integrating this from 2 to x to the third power. Okay? Let's continue this up here. We have f prime of x now is equal to d over dx. And what we want to do is plug in first x cubed. Oh, that's a t, right? Right? We need to keep this in terms of t because that was the derivative. We're plugging x cubed in for t. Don't forget that, Sean. Oh, I messed up my notes too. Great. That's why. So we plug x cubed in for t. So we have a negative 1 over 2 times an x cubed minus, when we plug 2 in, a negative 1 over 2 times 2 squared. Okay? Simplify this out. F prime of x is equal to d over dx. Okay? Just this part is not too bad. We have, squared. See, I'm going to mess that up. It's 1 over 2x cubed to the second power. That's why we're simplifying this. So this becomes a negative 1 over 2 times x to the sixth power plus, and this whole thing 1 over 2 times 2 squared is a 1 over 8. But it doesn't matter. That constant will cancel out in a second. So f prime of x here now, we're going to take the derivative here. The derivative of a negative 1 over 2x to the sixth power is a positive 6 over 2 x to the seventh, and the derivative of 1 over 8 is just 0. Don't need that. Well, this simplifies to be f prime of x is equal to, simplify 6 over 2 to be 3, so we have 3 over x to the seventh power, and that's it. Our final answer here for f prime of x is a 3 over x to the seventh power. We're given this problem right here. F of x is equal to the integral from x to x squared of a negative 2t minus 2 dt, and we need to find f prime of x. Well, what I want to do first is use my formula, f prime of x, let's set it up right, is equal to d over dx of the integral from x to x squared of our negative 2t minus 2 dt. So the first step here is we need to find the integral of negative 2t minus 2. Not too bad. So again, we have f prime of x here is equal to d over dx. It's okay to rewrite that. Now let's integrate negative 2t minus 2. Well, this becomes a negative t squared minus a 2t. Not too bad. And we're integrating this from x to x squared. All right. So we have some more room here. F prime of x now is equal to d over dx of, we'll first plug in x squared in for t here. So to do that, we have a negative x squared, see I put the parenthesis too early, x squared, squared, and then we plug in x squared in for that t, minus 2 times an x squared. Okay, make sure I'm on the right track, yep. Then we need to subtract that and we plug in x in for t. So we have a negative x squared minus a 2 times an x. Okay, for the second part right here. Alright. So now let's go simplify this out a little bit. F prime of x equals d over dx. Okay. Can I simplify here? Well, this becomes a negative x squared is a negative x to the fourth power. Now, right here we have a minus and negative, distribute that across, so we have plus a positive, positive going on right there. Negative 2x squared plus a 1x squared is a minus 1x squared. and then we just have a plus of 2x at the end. Okay? From there, we need to find the derivative now of this function here. Okay? So f prime of x is equal to derivative of, well, negative x to the fourth power is a negative 4x to the third, minus derivative of x squared is a minus 2x to the third, and the derivative of 2x is just a 2. And there we have it. Our final answer here for f prime of x, capital F prime of x, is equal to a negative 4x to the third minus a 2x cubed. Oopsie. It's just a 2x. Why did I say cubed? I was integrating. Sorry. Minus a 2x plus 2. And if you caught that mistake, let me know down in the description below. We're given this problem right here. F of x is equal to the integral from x to x squared of a t squared minus 8t plus 11 dt. And we need to find f prime of x. So let's use our formula here. F prime of x is equal to d over dx of our integral from x to x squared of t squared minus 8t plus 11 dt. Alright, got that all set up. First step, let's start from the inside. Let's take the integral of t squared minus 8t plus 11. Just baby steps here. F prime of x is equal to d over dx times, take the integral here. Well, that's going to be a t to the third power over 3 minus a 4t squared plus 11t. And we're integrating this from x to x squared. Okay. Well, what I'm going to do now, I'll put it over here so it's a little easier to see. F prime of x is equal to d over dx. Our rules still apply. We're going to plug in x squared first, and for t, and then we'll plug x in for t, and we subtract it. So x squared in for t, we have an x squared, and to the third power over 3, minus 4 times x squared to the second power, plus 11 times an x squared. Subtract when we plug in x in for t, and that's pretty simple. X to the third over 3 minus 4x squared plus 11x. Okay, not too bad. Let's make sure I'm on the right path, didn't make any silly mistakes, and I'm good. So let's go simplify this out first here. Combine my like terms. Well, this subtracting gets distributed to all parts right here, right? So we make sure when we keep that in mind, this minus sign goes to all these three parts. So simplifying this first part, x squared to the third power is an x to the 6 over 3. Minus, now we have 4x squared to the second power, so we have 4x to the fourth power, plus 11x squared. Distributing that out, minus an x to the third over 3, plus now, right? All parts, plus negative, negative makes it positive, 4x squared, and the last part is a minus 11x. Okay? Again, making sure I'm on the right path here, don't want to make a mistake here. So simplifying that out, we have f prime of x here is equal to d over dx. Alright, let's combine our like terms. We can reorder it. Nothing else is to the 6th power, so we have x to the 6 over 3 minus the next one's x, this one here, nothing else to the 4th power, 4x to the 4th plus or minus x to the 3rd over 3. Then we have the squares, that's the only one that combines, I believe 15x squared, right? 11 plus 4 is 15. And then minus the last part, 11x. Oof. So after all that, we need to take the derivative here. And this one, it's not too bad. Derivative of x to the 6th over 3 is a simplified 2x to the 5th power. Minus derivative of 4x to the 4th is a 16x to the 3rd. Minus x to the 3rd over 3 is just an x squared. Plus 15x squared derives to be a 30x. And then minus 11x is just minus 11. And after all that, we have our f prime, capital F prime of x, and that's equal to a 2x to the 5th minus 16x to the 3rd power minus x squared plus 30x minus 11. We're given this problem right here. F of x is equal to the integral from x to 2x of 2 over t dt, and we need to find f prime of x, capital F prime of x. Let's use our formula to set this up. F prime of x is equal to d over dx of our f of x, or the integral from x to 2x, 2 over t dt. So the first thing we want to do here is start from the inside, baby steps. let's take the integral of 2 over t. So we have f prime of x is equal to d over dx. And the integral of 2 over t comes out to be, well, 2 natural log of t. And we're integrating that from x to 2x. Let's put it up here. F prime of x is equal to d over dx. All right? And so our next step is we need to plug 2x in for t first, then subtract it when we plug in an x. So 2 natural log of a 2x minus a 2 natural log of x. Okay? All right. So we got that out of the way here. We've integrated that. Now we just take the derivative. F prime of x here. We can't really combine this. So taking the derivative of each part, what do we get? Well, the derivative of the first part, we have 2 times, well, 1 over 2x times the derivative of the inside, which is 2. Minus derivative of here is just a 2 times 1 over x. Oops, don't need the bracket here. So, a little way to make this easier to simplify, I'm actually going to pull out a 2 so we can see it a little easier. So we have f prime of x here is a 2, pulling out this 2 and this 2, multiplied by, well, simplify 2 over 2x minus a 1 over x that's left over. Keep going, f prime of x here, 2 times, well, 2 over 2 cancels out to be 1 over x, and 1 over x minus 1 over x is a 0. Now it's a little easier to see. F prime of x is equal to 2 times 0, which is 0. And there we have it. After all of that, our capital F prime of x is equal to 0. I hope this video was helpful for you, and if it was, please subscribe to this YouTube channel and like this video. This helps us make more free math lessons for you and for everyone else. So as always, thanks for watching.
Minute Math. When you need help, you use Minute Math.